Black Lives Matter. The night hung like heavy, damp bleed over the campus of Delta State University in Mississippi, as the flashing blue and red lights of the police cruisers cast a rhythmic, cold glow across the leaves of an old oak tree. At the base of the tree stood a young journalist, his shaking hands holding a notebook that was almost completely blank before him. From the branches, the body of Demartravian Trey Reed had just been lowered, a 21-year-old student, full of life, beloved, his eyes fixed firmly on the future. This was already the fourth name on the journalists' list this year. Before this, it was Dennis Richardson, Tasia Fortune, Kyle Basinger, all black, all found hanging from trees. A clear-cut case of suicide, the local sheriff said, never looking up from his clipboard as he chewed on a toothpick. No signs of foul play. The boy must have cracked under the pressure of his studies. We are closing the file. The journalist felt a bitter, burning anger in the pit of his stomach. He knew what the authorities were saying. He was well aware of the official framing. The authorities classify this cluster of deaths as tragic but isolated suicides. They claim that media echoes and social networks are merely linking these cases artificially, and that there is no forensic evidence of a coordinated wave of racist lynchings. But the journalist also saw the deep cracks in that smooth facade. He saw the unsecured crime scenes and the sloppy reports issued by politically elected coroners who possessed absolutely no medical training. He knew that for the black community, hanging in a public space was a profound historical trauma, the ultimate symbol of Ku Klux Klan terror. No life-affirming young man would ever willingly choose this specific method. It felt like an invisible, orchestrated reality that the institutions were deliberately trying to bury in silence. You only see what you want to see, Sheriff, the journalist muttered, turning away from the yellow police tape. We see the facts, son. The sheriff called out behind him. No, a gravelly, amused voice echoed from the shadows of a nearby park bench. You see the narrative that structures your reality in the most comfortable way possible. The journalist startled. Sitting on the bench was an older man with a distinctive white beard, round glasses, and a mischievous, almost impish smile. He held a walking cane between his knees and wore a slightly faded tweed coat. It was Robert Anton Wilson, the Grand Master of Skepticism, the man who had spent his entire life dissecting the labyrinthine tunnels of human perception. The journalist sat down next to him, utterly exhausted. Mr. Wilson, what are you doing here in Mississippi? And what do you mean by narrative? People are dying here. This isn't a theory. Wilson nodded slowly, his smile fading into a deep, earnest melancholy. Of course it's not a theory, my friend, it is bloody, agonizing reality. But the real question is, whose reality is currently being printed and distributed? Wilson lit a cigar, the smoke drifting in blue ribbons through the humid night air. People believe metaphysically in the infallibility of their authorities or the absolute truth of an official press release. They call it objectivity, but in truth, we live in reality tunnels. The sheriff over there has a tunnel dug by generations of prejudice, political self-preservation, and the sheer terror of facing the truth. When he says suicide, what he actually means is, if I look any closer, my entire worldview will collapse. But the cluster of cases is real, the journalist pressed. This can't be a coincidence. Something is happening out here, and the authorities are covering it up because they choose to look away or worse. Wilson blew a smoke ring into the night sky. The universe is full of synchronicity. But here we are dealing with something far more tangible, the inertia and potential complicity of a system. When the guardians of order look away, it corrupts reality for everyone. The moment a bureaucracy decides to systematically ignore a racial motive, it creates a collective hallucination. It tells the people, do not believe your own eyes. believe our rubber stamp." Wilson stood up slowly, leaning heavily on his cane. He looked up at the empty branches of the oak tree, where the flashing police lights continued to stain the leaves red and blue. "The conclusion from all of this, my young friend, is not that we need a new, neatly packaged, dogmatic theory," Wilson said, looking the journalist straight in the eye, his eyes flashing behind his lenses. "The conclusion is that we have a damn obligation to look closer. Every single time the power structures serve us a quick, easy answer, especially in the Deep South, where the soil is fertilized with the ashes of the past. We must ask, who benefits from this peace and quiet?" Wilson tapped his cane against the journalist's notebook. "Do not believe the authorities blindly, but do not believe your own biases blindly either. Stay hungry for whatever lies behind the curtain. When the judges close their eyes and the police burn the files, doubt becomes the only weapon left for the truth. Look closer. Question the judges. Question the reassurances, because if we stop looking, the trees in the South will remain nothing but mute witnesses to a reality that nobody wanted to put on the record." With those words, the old thinker turned around and walked with slow, measured steps down the fog-shrouded avenue until his silhouette dissolved into the dark. Left behind was the journalist, who put pen to paper and wrote the very first word of a report that would refuse to follow the official protocol. "Fanat